Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Judith Patterson. I'm a Stampin' Up! Independent demonstrator in Texas, and I just love showing you how to make cards. One of my favorite places to get card inspiration from is the Stampin' Up! Catalog. I save all of my old catalogs so that if I get stuck on my little creativity mojo, I can look back and get some ideas. But I also like to use the catalog for current cards. There is a little bitty gnat, and I don't know why it's here. But anyway, I like looking at the new catalog for inspiration too, because sometimes it's just easier to look at the catalog and copy what somebody else has made. Sometimes it's hard to get started with a new catalog. You know, you just wonder, you just kind of get stuck and you need a starting point. So the card we're going to be doing today is on page 111 of the 2021 to 2022 annual catalog. It's this card right here. Now sometimes when I copy cards from the catalog, I copy them just like they are. Sometimes I make tiny little changes. Sometimes I make huge changes and you can't, like, you have no idea that that's even what I was doing. This one, I really love this card. I like the way they've used the stamps to make these strips that look like designer series paper in the back. It's not something I typically think about doing. But I'm not a huge fan of soft suede. I'm really into grays. Look, you can even tell my fingers are gray. I've got gray fingernails today. So I chose to use basic gray as my background for my card base. But that's really the only thing that I'm changing on this card. And let me tell you, I already made one. I'll just show you real quick. Boom. Oh, there it is. I love the way it turned out. So if you like soft suede, if that's your favorite color, use that as your background, your base card. But if you, like me, are a fan more of grays, then give this basic gray a shot. Something before I flip the camera around and we start stamping, something I wanted to share with you is that the designer series paper, some of it, is on sale this month. So until August 2nd, the designer series paper is on sale. So you might want to check that out. There's some really great paper in this sale. One of my favorites is in Good Taste, which goes great with the Tasteful Touches stamp set that we're using today. Another one of my favorites is You're a Peach. I, of course, love using that with the Sweet as a Peach stamp set, but it's got some papers in there that are really great for like beachy type cards. So yeah, give that a try. And I am going to flip the camera around now so that we can start stamping. Give me just a minute. Hi. Okay, so my camera has been turned around. And before I start stamping, I just want to show you what supplies that we're going to be using. So the first thing is a basic gray card base. This cardstock is cut in half. It's 8.5 inches this way by 5.5 inches this way. And it's scored here at 4.25 inches. And we are in the US, so we're using US measurements. And I say we, it's me. I don't have anybody here with me. Okay, so this is basic white cardstock. We're going to be using a 4-inch by 5.25 inch piece for the inside. Then 3 strips for the front. This one is 1.25 inches by 5.5 inches. It fits, you know, right across the front of the card. This next one is 1 inch by 5.5 inches. And the third one that goes in the middle is 3/4 inch by 5.5 inches. You're also going to need a scrap piece of paper for the greeting, which we're going to use this one. It says, "Just saying hello." So you want something that's big enough for this die to cut out. And the dies that we're using are these. They're the Tasteful Labels dies. They don't come on magnetic sheets. This is something that I do once I open them up. I put them on a magnetic sheet, and then I put them in a little plastic folder with a label on it. Super handy, and it keeps me from losing all my dies because they stick to the magnet. Okay, so you're also going to need gingham ribbon. This is Bumblebee. And I have 2 pieces cut. One is about 4 inches, the other is about 4 1/4 inches. We're using Petal Pink, Bumblebee, Night of Navy, and Old Olive. And Stampin' Up! Colors last for so long, especially if you get the refills. So these are very old pads, but they still work great. I just refill them as needed, which isn't typically very often. These are the newer pads because this is one of last year's in colors. Okay, so in the stamp set that we're using, I've mentioned it before, it's Tasteful Touches. Isn't this a gorgeous set? I just love all the elements to this set. But today we're using the flower, Just Saying Hello. We're using these little tiles here and this bunch of leaves. Okay, so something I always forget to mention is the bone folder. I love this bone folder. I use it every single day, or at least every single day I'm in my craft room. And the number one thing that I use it for is just when I fold the card base in half, I like to use my bone folder to smooth out this crease. I always do both sides because I want my card to close pretty flat. But it's good for other things too. One of the things I use it for is when I'm using my Stamparatus, I slide it between the top plate and the top of my cardstock to hold my cardstock down while I open that top plate, because sometimes, especially with the photopolymer, it just kind of sticks to your cardstock and I don't want it to move when I open the plate up. Okay, so let's start by stamping the greeting. So I have just a huge piece of scrap paper for my greeting. It really doesn't need to be this big, but it's just what I had handy. And you know what? I am going to cut that in half because I'm using the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and that is only 3.5 inches wide. So I'm just going to cut this in half. It's 5.5 inches. Well, I'll go ahead and cut it 3 inches. Okay, so I'm using the Bumblebee ink, the Just Saying Hello stamp. I'm going to center that up. In fact, I'm going to turn it sideways. So when I stamp with these rubber stamps, I'm stamping, putting even pressure on everything, on the stamp. You don't want to rock the stamp at all. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if I rock it like this, you can see that you got some of the, or I got some of the edge of the stamp here around it, and you want to try to avoid that. I'm going to go ahead and close my ink pads every time I use them, because if I leave them open, I will get ink everywhere. I am a very messy stamper. I've already put my finger in the Bumblebee once today. Okay, so get the 1 1/4 inch by 5.5 inch strip of basic white and get your flower. Ink it up with a Petal Pink, and then stamp the flower several times on the cardstock. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. You can move your cardstock around and have a different angle every time. You can get them pretty close, but try not to overlap too much. A little bit won't hurt anything. Okay, so the next one we're going to use is this bunch of leaves with the 1 inch strip and the Night of Navy ink. And again, there is no way that this stamp is going to fit on this itty bitty strip of cardstock, so just do what you can. There we go. Alright, so then the last one is going to be the old olive ink and the tiles on the 3/4 of an inch strip of paper. I don't want huge amounts of white gaps, so I did what I could to fill that in there. Okay, so now we're going to take our Just Saying Hello and our die and our little Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. You don't have to use the mini. If you don't have the mini, then just use your standard size Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And when you put the die on, it's going to look like you're covering up your letters on both sides. But if you'll center it up pretty good, then you're not going to cut any letters off. Just try to center it up and try to get it a little straight. Straight-ish. Put the top plate on. When I run it through, I always run it through once. And then I go ahead and bring it back to me. It just helps to make sure everything that needs to cut is cut. Dies like this, it usually cuts pretty well just running it through once. But sometimes the more intricate dies, like the Brilliant Wings butterfly dies, oh my goodness, those are gorgeous. But they're very intricate, so sometimes you need to run them through more than once. Okay, so now we're going to glue these strips on. So the first thing we're going to do is take the flower strip, that was the 1 1/4 inch, and we're going to glue it about 1/4 inch from the top of the card. So right about there, we're just going to make sure it's straight. That's something I really like about this multi-purpose liquid glue, is it's a permanent glue, but it gives me a few seconds to straighten up my cardstock. Okay, so then we'll grab the 3/4 inch strip, put your adhesive on the back of it, and leave just a small gap between the flower strip and this strip, maybe 1/8 of an inch across. Make sure that one is straight. And you can see when I cut my cardstock, it looks like I cut these strips a little long. That's not a big deal. I will use my paper snips once this is all glued down to just trim those off the edge. Okay, so take the final strip and glue it about 1/8 of an inch under that last strip you put down. And I'm just guessing on these gaps here between strips, but that looks like about 1/8 of an inch to me. Make sure it's straight, glue it down good. So then you want to grab your glue dots, and I'm putting 2 on each ribbon. So I'm going to put one somewhat towards the end and another one kind of in the middle. That way they're covered up by the die cut. So I'm going to put one right about here. Then I'm going to take the other one. I'm putting the glue dots basically in the same place. There we go. So this one is going to go a little closer to the edge. Overlap just a smidge. I'm going to pull this up some so you can see the end of it. So now you want your Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to use 5. I'm going to put one in each corner, and then I'm going to put the 5th one in the middle. Okay. There we go. So there is the front of our card. If you wanted to, you could add another glue dot to the ends of these strips of ribbon, but I think it's fine for them to be loose and floppy like that. They're not going anywhere. So now I'm going to use my paper snips. These are the best little paper crafting scissors. I'm just going to trim the edges off where I cut it too long. There we go. That looks great. Okay, so now for the inside, I'm going to take that petal pink again and the flower. And I'm just going to stamp this flower where it's hanging off the edge a little bit on this bottom corner. I'll use my liquid glue. I'm going to get the edges. Okay, so now put that inside my card. Make sure it's straight. I left my petal pink open on purpose this time. I'm paying attention, so I'm not going to set my card in it. I'm not going to put my fingers in it, hopefully. So now I'm going to grab an envelope. I love Stampin' Up's envelopes. They're just sturdy, they're good for stamping, and I like that they have this nice big flap here. So I'm going to take that flower stamp again with the petal pink ink, and I'm going to stamp the flower right here on the corner of the card flap. And then we're finished making our card. So I like to do one of these cards from the catalog once a week. I try to post a video, or starting today, I'm going to try to post a video from the catalog on Saturdays. So if there is a card that you would like to see how to make it from the catalog, then just let me know what page number and which card it is that you would like to see. And so soon, the beginning of August, we are getting our new mini catalog, which has some fabulous stamps in it. And not just stamps, but dies and paper and bling and just all kinds of fun stuff in that catalog. And there's also going to be, Stampin' Up is doing Celebration again this year. This is the first year we've ever done Celebration twice in 1 year. So if you don't know what Celebration is, it is... So we get a small brochure, and everything in this brochure is free with a purchase. So some stamps and some paper are free with a $50 purchase, and some things are free with a $100 purchase. I can't wait to show you everything that is in this little brochure. There's so much great stuff. So once these come out for everyone in August, So August 3rd is when this goes live. I will be able to make cards from the celebration brochure and from the mini catalog. So the mini catalog used to be our holiday catalog. It has fall things and Christmas things and Halloween things. So many good things in this catalog. So once this goes live, then I will add these two catalogs as part of the choices for cards for my Saturday cards from the catalog post or video. So if there's anything that you would ever like to see from a catalog, just send me a message and let me know. If you have any questions about Stampin' Up or card making or stamping, I would be happy to answer those questions. If you're in the US and you don't want to wait for these catalogs to come out, you want to start buying stuff from them now, you can send me a message and we can talk about that, or you can just go ahead and I will include the link where you can join Stampin' Up now. There's no commitment. It is so much fun and such a great community. So I think that that's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for watching this video and sticking around to the end. If you enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button. And in the meantime, happy stamping!